Hello, it's Peter Huntington again from Kentucky Equine Research, equine vet nutritionist in my third segment about preparing the sales horse. And in this particular segment of the series, I'm going to talk about problems. Brief introduction to KR again. Hopefully you all know that we're world leaders in equine nutrition and we do this unique combination of research, consultation and nutritional solutions. And in Ireland, Bluegrass Feeds are a great client of ours. We love working with them and have developed some great feeds in partnership with them. So what are the sort of problems that you do get in prepping and some of the solutions that you can implement? I'm sure many of you who've been doing it for years have seen all of these things occur, and there are some tricks of the trade to help you get out of these situations. Sometimes you can't though. First of all, we'll talk about weight gain or weight loss or hold, and this is a key factor in terms of adjusting the feed and the work. So you're going to feed the horse on the left very differently to what you would feed the horse on the right, possibly because the one on the right's been through a prep and the one on the left hasn't, but they're just examples that I have. Monitoring weight gain weekly, I think, is really useful. And in a yearling prep situation, often you're looking for a kilo a day. As you're prepping older horses here, you'd be looking for less than that. But it's still important that you do get some weight gain and you get them in the right body condition. And if you're weighing them, that is an aid to what you can see from the eye. When you're with them every day, it's difficult to monitor to assess change. And so that's where weight is useful, or having somebody who isn't with the horse every day having a look on a weekly basis. So energy, too fat, too light, the amount of energy you feed will determine the body condition. Within, there are differences in metabolism of some horses don't need much feed to get in the right body condition and others need heaps. It won't determine height. You probably can't do much about height at this stage. If you've got something that's too small, it's likely that it will be too small. So nutrition is not necessarily going to solve you those height things. Certainly the amount of energy feed will influence the top line and will influence behaviour and the coat. If you're struggling to get the coat right, then often an increase in the energy will help you in that regard. So in a bit more hard feed or a bit more oil or a supplement like Equine. Energy sources, what you're going to do is you're going to look at the energy content of what you're feeding and depending on your needs. So forage, haylage is more digestible, higher energy than hay. The pasture is useful. Super fibres are really useful. So we always incorporate them into prepping feeds. If you're using a grain mix, then you've got a mix of grains there. Oats are the safest grain to feed, the most palatable. Barley and corn, higher energy if they're processed right, like micronizing. Premix feeds will always have some oil, and a specialty prepping feed like Prep 14 has got a lot more oil than other regular feeds that you might feed during the year. And adding separate fat sources like Equine is often important part of the prepping program. So, Cresty 2 fat, you're going to make changes early in the preparation. Be particularly careful if you've got small fillies. If they're too fat, they look even smaller. These horses often need more work. They need lower energy hay, a hay net, so they don't eat as quickly, and lower concentrate intakes. And perhaps just 1 kilo a day with some extra fat or something like a balancer mix. If, on the other hand, they haven't got a neck, they haven't got a top line, they haven't got a muscle, you're going to have to feed them as much as you can. 3 feeds a day, work them in a roller, get their head down, perhaps physio to help them. Equine, great for putting condition and top line on, and ad lib, high quality, high protein hay is going to be useful here. The horse that won't eat is a problem. What do? You can put everything great in front of it, but it won't eat. Then you've got to do something differently. Is it a mental situation that's not next to the right, it's not next to its favourite horse, or that change of environment with prepping is something that the horse doesn't like? Is gastric ulcers an issue? Do you have to think about ulcer control? Is the hindgut disturbed? Because the hindgut health has a big impact on appetite. Mental health, time outside is often very good. More grazing, ad lib hay. I'd say giving them smaller feeds 3 or 4 times a day, you'll get more into most horses than you will if you're just putting 2 big feeds in front of them. Using a palatable high energy feed like Prep 14 can help you get more calories into the horse than it will if you're using a less palatable lower energy feed. And concentrated energy sources like oil and Equidule are really useful. You can avoid gut issues. There's some keys here: adequate amounts of forage, small meal sizes, lower starch feed, processed grains. So micronizing, barley and corn need heat, and adding fat as an energy source will avoid gut issues. Gastric ulcers, omeprazole. A lot of people give omeprazole at the start of the prep to try and get ulcers under control, but when the horse comes in out of the paddock, it's a time of change and a time of stress and reduced time eating, and so ulcers are more likely to come. Lucerne hay is a great additive. It's an antacid. Giving it before work is really useful. There are coating agents you can put in the feed, whey, sucralfate, and there are buffers. And there's a marine-derived calcium in feeds, such as in Stam 30, that's you can feed separately, or is in Prep 14, and that reduces acid and reduces therefore the risk of gastric ulcers. It's also in Equidule as well. Giving the horse some feed before work will stop acid splash in the stomach, and I think that's useful. Behaviour, yeah, some horses are not going to like this time in their life, and you've got them in a positive energy balance. So what can you do there? Do you need to reduce the grain? Do you need to make it oat-free? More concentration on forage and fat is going to be useful. More work, take some of the sting out of them. Time in the paddock is good, and a happy gut. So again, the marine calcium is useful in that regard. I don't know about calming supplements. There's plenty of them around. They might be more placebo effect than actual real effect in terms of behaviour. As your horses have almost finished growing, they shouldn't have as many issues with fasciitis and joints. But fasciitis often associated with offset knees or angular limb deformities, certainly growth in height, so we're not going to see it for that reason so much. What you've got to do there, reduce the work and often reduce the starch intake. Better bone at the sales. There is no short-term fixes. So I think if you're worried about bone, then avoid the horse getting too heavy is a key thing, and be careful about the surface you're working it on. And think about reviewing the genetics, the pasture management, the feed and exercise from the pregnant mare onwards. That's not going to help you in this prep, but it might help you in future ones. Hay belly, some horses do seem to get them. Determining if it's gut feel or fat is the first thing. More work's an issue. Better quality forage and restricting hay close to the sale, using something like a double small hole hay net so that you can give the horse hay to eat, but it's not going to eat quite as much. Coat issues, if you've got a balanced diet and you've got a positive energy balance and you've had some fat in the diet for a while, during the prep period, you should get the coat in good shape. Obviously, warmth is important, grooming is important. If it's a bleached coat, then organic trace minerals can help you there. And supplements that are designed for the hoof that contain biotin, zinc and methionine also often have an effect on the coat if they're fed at a higher dose. So summary here of what you're doing in sales prep. It's all about hard work is rewarded, but it won't fix all problems. You need balanced nutrition and you need individual variation in the feeding of each horse in your group. Don't feed them all the same. You don't work them all the same. Be careful about weight gain. Be careful about growth, and pay attention to detail. Remember, you're rearing an athlete, and hopefully that athlete rewards you in terms of, or the future athlete rewards you at the sale, but also in terms of the value of your mare when you sell the next progeny from her. So thank you very much for your attention. If you're interested in more information, Equinews, our Equinews website's a fantastic resource. Bluegrass are a great company with a number of really terrific feeds to help you to develop your horses and prepare them for the rut. So they're peaking on the day at the sale and get the best result that you can for their pedigree and physique. More questions, we're happy to answer them, and just get in touch with us in one of the methods there. Thank you very much.